everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Bata Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. Life itself is such a privilege, but to live life to the fullest is 100% a choice. Guys, let that quote take you and shake you to your soul. It is a choice to live life to the fullest. Now, we're going to somewhat talk about how to live life to the fullest on today's podcast episode. However, really what we're after is living and living longer specifically. I'm so excited to bring this topic to you guys today. But before we dive into that, let's go ahead and talk about the healthy, delicious taco recipe of the week, black chili tacos. Yes, it is a black chili sauce made with your favorite type of meat. We used pork loin. I know we've been doing a lot of pork, but it's just been hitting home as of lately, and it's delicious. So if you are interested in seeing what in the world the black chili sauce is, how to make it for yourself healthy at home, and then put it all over a delicious bed of meat wrapped up in a beautiful tortilla, then you need to go check out the show notes, but only before you leave the episode today. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the topic of the week. So I put it up on my Instagram story like 2 weeks ago of what do you want to hear about? And it was a really close vote between topic I did last week, which is what I would tell my younger self. It was an awesome episode, guys. Please go back and listen to it if you did not have the chance to. But the second place option by a very close margin was this one, which is how do you live longer? And where the idea for this topic came from is I was actually listening to a podcast called Chasing Excellence. It's by two guys who have primarily focused in the CrossFit space. No, I don't do CrossFit. However, I think that the mindset that a lot of people who partake in that specific type of sport and just type of movement, they have a mindset, especially the high-level elite athletes. They have a mindset that is just incredibly interesting and intriguing to me as someone who hopes to one day maybe reach their level of success. But anyways, Chasing Excellence, it's a wonderful podcast. And Ben Bergeron is one of the hosts of the podcast, and he's coached so many people to just this high level within CrossFit, but just his mental tactics are insane. So if I didn't sell you on that podcast, I just hope that I did, because I really hope that you guys can go and listen to it. But anyways, all of that to say, he actually was talking about this as one of their many topics on their podcast for that episode. And they gave the secret to how to live longer. And guys, this isn't like this is what we think. This is like case studies, scientifically almost proven. And so I was like, that would be such a fun podcast topic to not only share the answer for those that didn't get the opportunity to listen to it and give my own take on it, but to also even give a couple of more recommendations and things to consider on how not to just live longer, but how to actually live with the time that you have. And so the answer that they gave, that they did case studies on, guess what it was? Fulfillment. Fulfillment is the answer to living longer. And I could not agree more with that. When you have fulfillment in your life, you live life at a different vibration and you feel like you're at peace. You have this ability to seek joy in times of darkness and times of challenge and resistance. It is just, like I said, a different vibration to living. And I can 100% see, based off of what fulfillment all partakes in, how it could contribute to people living longer lives. Now, the big question here that I want to start to take an answer towards for you guys and my perspective on this is, how do you find that? How do you find more fulfillment in your life so therefore you can live longer and live a life worth living with all this extra time that you have? I have 3 questions for you to ask yourself, and I think that these 3 questions will totally cover it. The first thing to ask yourself is, how do you spend your time? If you don't know how you currently spend your time, well, then get an inventory of it. Because what you'll find is that you might be spending your time in a completely different way than you had thought. And those activities might be sucking some of the life out of you, might be sucking some of your soul, might just be these mindless tasks where you zone out and you go on autopilot. It might be that you're stuck in the scroll and you're comparing yourself to other people's lives via social media, right? Like, I can't have that answer for you. I don't know what your life is like. But if you give yourself the space to actually take inventory of where you're spending your time and what it is that you would ideally rather be doing instead, like think about some of the goals that you set for this year, some of the visions, some of the intentions that you have. Do they fit with those? Do they align? And if they don't, well, then there's part of your answer, right, as to why you might not be fulfilled. I hate when I set an intention and I don't live by that intention. But then I go back and I look at how I'm spending my time. I'm like, well, there we go. Here I am complaining about how I don't have time. I've got plenty of it. I'm just putting it into the wrong spaces, into the wrong places, and into the wrong people. So that is a great first question to start with. Okay, get inventory of how you're spending your time. Then I want you to ask yourself, how do you define success? There was a moment in time on the podcast where that was the thing that I was saying almost every other week, is define your definition. Like, what is your definition of success? If you can define that for you and make that really intentional, I do believe that that potential for fulfillment to be paired with success is much higher. However, it can be separate. You can have all the success, and I'm putting those in air quotes, you could have all the success in the world, but have zero fulfillment. And what do we know about that? That could be one of the biggest mistakes and one of the biggest failures in life. So you have to be really intentional about what your definition of success is. Take some time to think about that and just journal it. What has success looked like for you in the past, and what does it look like now? Knowing that it is totally okay if those two things look different. That you have not navigated life incorrectly or wrong. You're just in a completely different season where things have shifted. And that is beautiful. That is great. You're evolving, you're growing, and you're shifting as a human being. Don't harp on yourself for that. But you have to be really intentional about what that definition of success is right now in your life. So again, you compare that with the things that matter by putting your time and energy and effort into the things that matter, which therefore will hopefully bring about fulfillment. Okay. The last thing of how to actually build fulfillment and have fulfillment in your life is asking yourself this question. Ask yourself, what is it that you want to contribute? What do you want to leave behind as a legacy? Even ask yourself, what are you currently contributing? And if you don't have an answer to that question, that might be your answer right there. That'll give you everything that you need to know. Tony Robbins talks about this so much, of the people that have it truly figured out, that live with the most fulfillment in their life, are the people that give. The people that give unconditionally, not just because they want to people please. That is the exact opposite, but because giving and contributing is part of what makes them them. It's what gives them that higher potential in life, just that higher sense of self in life. And so ask yourself what it is that you're currently contributing, what it is that you would like to contribute, and make that a part of how you spend your time. I promise you, when you give in a very genuine, authentic way to you, whether it be something tangible or something intangible like your time, your energy, your effort, something as simple as your joy, as your smile, which is something that I try and give daily to people, it feels so good. And again, we're talking about living at a different vibration here. That will 100% help you get to that higher vibration, okay? So that is my take on an answer I 100% agree on, of how to live longer is to seek more fulfillment. Now, I am not going to just end it there. There are a couple of recommendations that I have and kind of span the board between mental, emotional, and I am going to end on a physical note as well too. But again, this isn't just how you live longer. This is how you make the most of your life, living life to the fullest, okay? So with that being said, I want to share actually something that will for sure be a reason that you won't live longer. This is a way to not live longer. And that thing is to live your life trying to prove other people wrong. Let that one sink in, because when I wrote this down, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Because between my journey of believing that I am enough, I talked a lot about that last week, right? As to why I have this insecurity of not being enough for people and things in life. So between that thing that I'm trying to tackle on a constant basis, and between this feeling of I am always the underdog in so many endeavors that I take on, sometimes I find myself doing things out of this hope or want to prove someone wrong and show them that I can. And while that can be a source of motivation, I definitely don't doubt that, I don't want it to be the why. The why to when I am sacrificing time that maybe I could be spending with loved ones and creating moments and memories and relationships, furthering that with them. I don't want that to be the why. When I am spending hours grinding in the gym, doing personal growth behind closed doors, all of those things to make me a better person, I don't want to do it in the hopes that someone else realizes that I am enough or that I can do something. That is just not the way that I want to live my life. And I hope that you can see the relevancy in that. So ask yourself right now and reflect on this. Are the endeavors that you're taking on, the intentions that you have, the goals that you have set out for this year, are you doing them to prove someone else wrong? And if you are, I highly encourage you to maybe look into doing other things or to rethink your why as to why you're doing those endeavors. I get it. It hits differently when you prove someone wrong and they see how successful you are and you're like, yeah, I told you, like, boom. But like that excitement only lasts for so long. It's like winning, right? Standing on the podium, it only lasts for so long. And then only to want to go on to the next big thing and the next big thing to just be in this hamster wheel. When you do things, again, from this intrinsic motivation, this authentic reason why for yourself, that hits much differently. And you won't need the external motivation of trying to prove other people wrong. It'll bleed from the inside out. And even on the days where you don't want to, it'll pull you. Okay. So reflect on that for yourself. Okay. And I truly believe that if we start living life that way, we'll live longer because you're living, doing the right things. And again, overall leading to that fulfillment piece. Okay. Some other things to consider of how to live life longer is, this one's like a duh, is managing stress levels better, truly. And the answer or the tip that I want to give you today to that is to pre-decide things more in your life. And I want you to put pre-decides in air quotes because it's a term that I am coining / making up / taking from someone else / I don't know, but pre-deciding, okay? Implementing that more into your life. Spend more of your time living and less of your time deciding, stressing out over what's next or what's to come. There is nothing worse than feeling like you are literally throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying to play whack-a-mole with your day, with your week, with your month, with your freaking life, right? It's tiring. It's stressful. No wonder you have zero interest in going to the gym or focusing on you at night and doing that stretch or whatever it is that you want to do, right? You're freaking exhausted because you have so many thoughts and decisions to make from day to day to day that you have nothing left to give to yourself, to others. So if you start to implement this idea of pre-deciding, imagine what's going to happen to your stress levels. And I explained this a couple weeks ago on the podcast of things that I do to help me pre-decide, because what I'm noticing is I sometimes like to go back on my decisions a lot, and I'll go back and forth of should I do this? Should I do that? Ba-da-da-da. I have a notes page in my phone that is literally called Get Your Shit Together, and it has the cute little emoji with like the doo-doo-doo, like with the party hat on. I love it, okay? It's my favorite list, and it's the most commonly list used in my phone. And at the top, I have 2024 and what my intentions are for 2024 and how I want to live and look back and say, I did those things or I lived by those things. And then I break it down into, well, how does that relate for this month, for this current season of life that I am currently navigating, right? And I write down specific things that I want to prioritize for this month. Then it breaks down into this week of, hey, what is one of those things that I can focus on this week that I want to knock out? And then it goes down into the day. And I kid you guys, I literally do this. I will write down either hour by hour, never minute by minute, that's a little much, hour by hour, what I am doing and where I want to be, to make sure that what it is that I just said was important for this month and important to accomplish this week finds their way into that schedule. And I'll tell you this right now, it's not perfect. It's not bulletproof. But in the morning where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a million things to do, and you maybe wake up on the wrong side of the bed, I don't go straight to social media and start scrolling through that just to try and put a Band-Aid over the fact that, like, I have shit to get done and I just don't want to do it, or I don't know, so therefore I'm just going to, like, go to some instant gratification, endorphin boosting shenanigans. I go to this list and I remind myself what's most important, what's the priority, and where it is that I need to be for that day. And again, what that helps me do is not only align to the things that I find successful, that I find fulfilling, but then it takes all of those decisions of where it is that I need to be and what I need to be doing out the gate, right? It takes it off my plate, and I'm able to think more clearly. And how productive I am, oh my gosh, it is amazing when I do that. Okay. So hopefully through all of that, it doesn't add stress to your plate, right? By having these different lists. This is just a flow that works for me, but maybe hearing that flow, there's something in that, what I just explained, that works for you. But being able to make less decisions and pre-deciding, like, nope, non-negotiably, this is what I'm going to go for. And let's just say you wake up and you're sick or something went wrong and it's just not feasible for things to happen that way. Okay, great. This is where you have to learn how to be adaptable and adjust, but decide in that moment, right? Don't leave it for choice. Adapt and go back and look at the things that you already decided were important and start to pull from those things, right? Instead of thinking about the millions of other things that you could be doing or could go wrong. And yeah, okay, throw up face. All right, here we go. On to the last thing for how to live life longer. It would not be, I would be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't talk about the physical side of things, right? Especially when we know how important our health is. I want to talk about something with my background as a health coach, a little bit of background in nutrition, in addition to personal training, high performance athletics. What I find people struggle to wrap their brains around when it comes to setting goals with their health and what it is that they think that they should be doing versus how simple it could actually be and what they could be doing, right? And so all of that to say, the thing that could help you live longer is not only your health, but truly addressing or helping address the obesity pandemic, okay? It's a real problem. It's a real thing. And a lot of people think that it has to do with fat. Well, I'm fat. I have to get rid of fat. I have to lose fat. Yes, that is a part of it. But the way in which you do so, and this is the answer that I wish that I knew so many moons ago when I went on my weight loss journey, is that it is not a fat problem. It is an unhealthy muscle problem. People are sitting more than they've ever sat. They're more immobile than they've ever been before in their life. On top of the fact that their immobility is causing poor habits, poor structural form, which then is decreasing or shortening very, very specific muscles, or I'm sorry, not shortening, but more lengthening muscles in their body, which is essentially weakness, right? So their muscles are not doing anything. And then on top of that, you add the crap that people are putting into their mouths that maybe they don't know is good or bad. And it just has created this obesity pandemic that has become almost uncontrollable. And if there is anything that I can give you to give you the most bang for your buck, now this isn't going to be the overnight quick fix. This is going to be, I have to put in the commitment and really have a solid reason as to why I'm doing this. But the best bang for your buck is to put freaking weights in your hands. Lift more weight. Get them heavy. Because the more that you can increase your muscle mass in your body, the more that you have the chance of turning what is body fat into lean muscle mass, okay? And I'm not going to go behind and explain the science behind it. I'll probably choke up a few words here and there. But if you were like, yo, I really, really want to take a splash on being healthier for me and for my family so that I could actually keep up with my kids or keep up with my life and not live on a couch lethargic and depressed because I'm not doing anything with it, start with a few days a week of just having weights in your hands. Seriously, that is going to be the most bang for your buck, okay? And this is the beautiful thing about this, you guys, is that you're going to start this because you want to get into better health. But what's going to happen and what this turns into is that you have more respect for yourself. And you have this desire to take yourself to those places of challenges. And you have this love for movement and the high that it gives you. Like, I just want to give you literally the idea that the grass is greener on the other side. This is the one time that I will say it. The grass is mother-frickin' greener on the other side. When you fall in love with respecting yourself, loving movement, and the high that those two things will bring you together, okay? And this is where I want to leave you for the podcast today. Very similar note to last week. No one is going to remember what you looked like. They're just not. They're never going to remember the promotions that you got, how beautiful your home was, none of that stuff. When you come to the end of this journey, you won't be thinking about those things either, okay? You'll be thinking about the times where you went for it. The things that made you silent laugh until you cried. The moments where you thought you couldn't and then you did it. The memories with people that you couldn't imagine living life without. Those are the things that you're going to think about. But not if you don't intentionally spend your time focusing on those things, on fulfillment, on chasing after what you define as success for you in your life. So here it is, you guys. Here is the turning point opportunity for you. What are you going to do with it? Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today, and I hope that this podcast truly hit home. If it does, please be sure to leave a rating or review. That's how this podcast and just these messages are going to get pushed out to other people that truly need to hear it. Or be sure to share this episode with someone that you know absolutely needs to hear it, okay? Again, thank you guys so much for giving me the space to just share my life with you and for us to go on this incredible journey together. And I can't wait to see what next week brings when we have another fun, lovely episode of Taco About a Tuesday. All right, guys, see you then.